3, 2.
Hey, welcome to the Bodhi Brothers, episode 3. I'm Bodhi Ray.
I'm Bodhi John with a J, I guess.
Nice.
Yay, we did it. Number 3. Boy, you know I love the power of 3. And so third time's a charm. We're just getting started here. We're learning. We got some new equipment on Ray's side of the equation. So we're constantly going to be taking steps to expanding and sharpening and all that stuff to make it more exciting, more engaging, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah. All right, well, I'll tell you guys what we do. We're called the Bodhi Brothers, and what we do is we take a teaching from a spiritual teacher, a self-help expert, motivational speaker. We take a video from them, we review it, we dissect it, we watch it, and we give you, what we like, what we don't like, and what works for us. And we think it's crap, we'll tell you it's crap, how it is.
We have not run into the crap factor yet. And we didn't talk about how we felt about this video yet until we hit the record button. We said, oh, let's not do it. Everything's going to be a surprise, and we'll always try to do that. And third time's a charm. I personally expected this one that we're going over today to not be crap, but I was like, I don't know, man. This is going to be the one where we hit the shitter. And not because I don't like the person, but because I'm unsure about how I felt about the person. But man, what a home run we hit today with this video, at least I think. And I didn't take notes.
So too.
Good, because I didn't take notes the first 2 videos. And I do know one thing. You took notes. I took notes. I filled up 2 pages of notes. 2 pages. So
well, we should tell just to let people know who we're talking about. Is we're talking about JP Sears.
It's a great idea.
And we reviewed the video saying yes to your weirdness. And I think most people are familiar with JP Sears. He's a pretty famous emotional coach, spiritual coach, but he also does a lot of comedy mixing with his teachings.
Yeah. Did he have fame? Did he catch any fame before the comedy, or did the comedy propel him to the fame? I don't know.
I'm not really sure. Sure.
I'm not either.
I like how he kind of mixes in both elements.
Yeah.
And a lot of his videos, what are they called? Ultra spiritual. A lot of it's like him, it's him mocking spiritual people and kind of displaying how they use spirituality as a bypass or just another part of their ego that they're using.
Right. And that's why, when we selected this particular one and you said, hey, how about this one? I was like, gee, I don't know how I feel about him, man. I mean, like, yeah, and as a fellow comedian, there's always those 2 aspects. You want to love someone, but you're also like, what is he doing? What does he think he's doing? He's not, he's not good, or show me your goodness. But there's that other part that, if you're being true, like, you appreciate what he's doing. He's definitely captured an audience. And so I'm always open. I listen to this guy, but I'm definitely hearing this one as well, saying, all right, show me, I'm open. And when I asked you, I was like, but he's always just making fun of spiritual people. And I consider myself as pretty spiritual dude. And I know you do as well. So like some of the things he talks about, like I actually do those things and stuff, but then you put it in a good light, and you said the things that you just kind of shared there in that moment. And I said, all right, but this isn't one of his normal, the ultra spiritual awakening dude, or woke AF with JP Sears. This is a TED Talk. So, which we will provide the link below for you.
What I think was kind of cool about this one is at first the video, I felt like I was watching a stand-up comedy routine. The way he was presenting, and it was kind of funny at first, but then as he went into it, he said a lot of good stuff. Like you said, you took notes. I didn't take notes for those other 2 videos. He was just saying a lot. It was a lot of good info, a lot of good wisdom for, I believe it was a 26-minute video.
Yeah. It knocked me over because it started that way too, and I go, here we go. It's just another Like I'm like, the 10 people let him come in and just do comedy. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Hey, again, as a comedian, I'm like, that's dope. Maybe one day I can do a TED Talk and just be funny. But it does go deep, and he ended up hitting on some very near and dear to my heart personal things, and he started like, well, I might as well just like, one of his very first quotes out of the gate was, the most dangerous liability in the world today is being yourself.
Right.
And that okay, so when he said that, when the jokes were over and he dropped that was the first thing I wrote down. I said, okay, I'm listening. Maybe he's gonna like start to dig a little deeper here, and he did. And that, you know, for me, I'm like, I struggle with that, being a people pleaser, and always wanting, and we'll get into this as we go through this video, but he starts to hit on those notes of approval and where that comes from, and so he grabbed me in the beginning, and
Right.
I watched it. I only expected to watch it one time, be like, that's JP Sears. It's going to be light. It's going to be funny. And we'll shoot the shit back and forth. We'll talk about him and the episode will be over. Nay, my friend, because tell me what you got on your note page over there. We'll go back and forth, man.
Well, what you touched on was the approval versus acceptance. How we're always looking for that approval, and because we're looking for approval because we want connection. And that started at a young age with our parents. We want that connection with our parents, those people, our family, and we want their approval, so we get that feeling of connection. And because we want that feeling of approval, we end up suppressing our authentic selves, our weirdness, which he defines weirdness as any characteristic or attribute that brings out your uniqueness. So we all have that weirdness in us. We all have that certain thing that makes us unique. It makes me unique, makes you unique. Yeah. So we suppress that because we want that approval. So we are modeling our behavior based upon how we think our parents want us to be. And because we're looking for that approval. So we bury that. And that a lot of us go through that our entire lives.
Yep.
Trying to be normal, trying to fit in.
Yep. And it's flashing forward to my second page of notes, but we'll jump around, man, because I really can't unhear. It's so fresh in my mind, but it just hit me to the core to where this is not going to go away. This is a video that's going to stick with me, and I'll recommend. And it's such a pleasant surprise because he was talking, echoing what your sentiments were about the connection. And then a lot of us will read people and become what they need for approval. And we do that as kids, and then that spills into our adulthood. But most of us as children were not validated. In fact, he goes on to say that it's very rare when we are children that we are validated for being ourselves. And right. I'll share a quick story. Someone asked me, like, when did you first feel like you were funny and that you loved being funny? And I shared a memory from like, it was like high school or something like that. I made a whole class laugh. I was like, there's a class clown thing. And she said, are you sure? I feel like it's something like younger in your experience. And I was like, you know what, you're probably right, but I haven't dove into it. So I dove into it, did a little reverse CP thing, and tapped into the joy of that moment of CP completion process. For those of you not aware, and we'll drop a link below there too to talk about that if anyone is not familiar with this completion process. But I did the process, Ray, and it come to find out that I had this childhood memory of my mother giving me a bath when I was an infant, infant, right? And right. I must have been making faces or water shooting out of my nose or whatever. And she was just like, you are so funny. You are who's a funny guy? Who's a funny guy? And it was such an authentic moment between me and my mom. I was being a baby, just doing baby shit. But she was so tickled, Ray. And she was so in the light of approval. And like the mother above you and the sun in the water is like all these immaculately beautiful things in this connecting moment that I think for the rest of my life, I carried that with me as like, wow, that's the way I get approval, is to be funny. I mean, I get the mother love, but here's the twist and the fun ride that life takes is most of my childhood, I grew up being shamed for being funny. Like, stop being a smartass, or who do you think you are, the funny guy? Like, what happened to mom and bath time, man? Like, shit, where's that? So, like, I've got to find that laugh again. I've got to
Well,
find the weirdness in me.
I want to bring up something that you said about that, being shamed about that. And what he says is, there's a really good quote he brings up, that to say yes to our weirdness, we have to be willing to embrace discomfort.
I've got that asterisk. I've got it starred 3 times at the bottom of my page, man. So it's. I mean, yeah.
Because we have that fear of rejection, and he gives a really good quote. I believe he said the name is Renee Brown. The quote was kind of summarized: "Willing to be the most uncomfortable. Those willing to be the most uncomfortable rise to the highest."
Yeah, he says she's my favorite author. I've never read any of her books. Yeah. It was such a playful splash between serious and his cadence was great. He took his time. He's very calm and slow in his delivery. Much like Eckhart was a few videos ago. So I definitely adored that too. And he, so addressing the uncomfortable thing that you said, that's going into our traumas. That's going toward,
Right.
He talks about going toward pain and finding ourselves at the end of that pain, because we are the generators of that pain, and knowing that it's not that physical pain, our instincts and everything in us, our receptors, our cells say, no, don't go that way, you're going to die. But as far as the
Right.
emotional pain is concerned, as we get older, and we begin to fire from here, we're hopefully ultimately drawn to that expansion and that uncomfortability, so that we can get comfortable.
I think we're eventually drawn to be more authentic. As we heal, that comes out. Speaking of weirdness, a lot of people, I'm sorry, I'm saying, but after my divorce, I went on a couple of retreats. I went to Maui twice to go see Ramdas, and I remember telling people, family and friends, they're like, "Oh, where are you going on vacation?" I'm like, "I'm going to Maui." They're like, "Oh, who you going with? Friends or girlfriend?" I'm like, "No, I'm by myself." And then I remember getting that look, like, "You're going on vacation by yourself?" I'm like, "Well, it's a retreat. There's gonna be people there," and just getting that look, like, that's kind of weird.
What a weirdo.
Yeah, who goes to Hawaii by themselves?
Yeah. This my partner, she'll do something and I'm like, you are such a weirdo. And she's like, I'm not, and I cut her off and I'm like, that's why I love you. I'm like, don't you ever stop being weird. And I'm like, it's the greatest thing about you. And so I'm blessed in that regard, that we both allow our inner weirdness to shine, and we celebrate that. So this video was a really nice applause for me, so to speak, that like, hey man, keep being fucking weird. But I don't even feel like I've scratched the surface of my weirdness, for so many reasons that he talked about in the video too. This was more of I almost broke down a few times when I watched a JP Sears video. I mean, I'm telling you, man, like I choked back a few tears. I'm like, I got to get this done, man. Like, later, JP, I'll let the tears flow. But it was like a permission set for me to continue to be weird and allow myself to be seen and just be me and step fully and talk about it. And it's maybe it's not an overnight thing. Maybe for some people, they're just magically fucking brilliant as far as being raw and authentic. But a lot of us are terrified of that. And maybe we have to take baby steps. And after listening to this video, of being real with myself, I'm like, you're not fully in your weirdness yet. But like, this is
that was kind of cool how he talked about comedy, and how he was going to be a healing coach and incorporating humor into being a spiritual teacher, and how at first he didn't think those two things were going to mesh at all. And once he accepted it, I think he said once I stopped worshiping that belief that they could go hand in hand, he didn't care anymore. And look, that's what made him successful.
Yep. He said, as long as I'm worshiping other people's approval, I can never accept myself.
That's a great quote.
Word for word. I wrote it, the
Yeah,
asterisk all around this part.
Actually, I wrote that down too. I had that same thing now.
He said like it was something dangerous that would bring harm to his life to allow his inner comedian. 13 years into his career as an emotional healing coach, he finally said, fuck this. And I think you get to that point where you're just depleted, exhausted, and you say, like, nothing's working, nothing's feeling quite right or in alignment, and you just go like, oh shit, I've neglected my inner weirdness. I've neglected me and that true embodiment of who I am. And I think if we probably look back at it, if he had some type of fame as an emotional coach, I really think it was probably the comedy that skyrocketed him to the next level of just being made globally aware of and stuff like that. And what a great reward for stepping into who he truly was. So for me as a comedian at 46 years old, just trying to finally put myself out there and step into that light, like what a great gift to hear that story, that he was 13 years into his career.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I don't care what it does or not who it offends, but I gotta erase all this chatter around me and just listen to this and just drive forward. Right?
Right. And he said another good point is the people that you look up to, the people that inspire you. He gave, some ideas of celebrities. The reason why we're attracted to them is because of their weirdness. And you don't look up to anybody who isn't unique. You don't look up to normal people. You look up to people who are different, people unique, people who are weird. They're the ones that inspire you. I know for me, the people who inspire me was Ram Dass. Hearing his story and meeting him, that was a life-changing moment. And I've always been inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger. How he came to this country with nothing, how he built himself up, champion bodybuilder, actor, politician. And he's definitely weird. He's definitely unique.
It's awesome. It's just funny to hear. Not funny, but it's interesting to hear that's one of the people that you looked up to. But yeah, he has had a very diverse, successful, gone from I won't say nothing, but like total blank slate to like building all of this for him. He did it by himself, didn't he? I'm not by himself, but he's self-made,
right,
dude.
And using his physique and using his physical abilities to propel himself into acting and politics and everything else.
Let us not forget his blinding charisma. Come on, Ray. I couldn't resist. It's your shirt, man. It's bringing out the impersonations in me. I just want to step into a Slim Jim. Ooh, yeah.
Cream of the crop.
Since Ray and I met, we've had this T-shirt competition that just naturally spawned, man. And we were at a training together in Utah, and he comes out. We're all getting ready to jump in the van or whatever to head to where we're headed. And I'm like, nice shirt, man. I'm like, damn it. He beat me today. Like, I thought I was going to have the shirt that everyone was like, cool shirt, man, cool shirt. And so the next day I'm like, I step out, I'm like, hello, Ray. Got on the Hogwarts today. And he's like, oh, that's nice. And he turns around, and there's Macho Man Randy Savage. Like, I can't win the T-shirt game against this guy. But
it's what makes me weird.
I'll never stop trying, man. But yeah, you were talking about what really inspires us, and that's another one that's asterisked at the top of my page, just so to echo your sentiments. He says, it's not what people have or what they do, but that they risk exposing the true nature of who they really are. That's magnetic to us. You look at someone, you don't say, oh, look, they have those cars or those mansions. Some people do, and maybe that's the thing that ring-a-lings or ding-a-ling. But for a lot of us, it's like, wow, that person's just really not afraid to be themselves. Like they're shy, you know, we call them stars. And I think a lot of them just that are those stars that we look up to, whatever.
So who inspires you? Who brings out that weird?
One of them was Michael Jordan as a kid, man, just because he, I mean, unapologetically, relentlessly just he wanted to win. And as an athlete, as a kid, that was so important to me to get that approval from dad for me. So that was the dad. Funny was the mom approval. Being a prolific athlete was the dad approval. And I was like, Michael just wins. There's something, man. He does it to a whole nother level. And he was just, for me, it was a tractor beam. I just wanted to watch every game, every All-Star, every slam dunk competition, because he was going to do something that was going to transcend what everyone else was doing. And, you know, they still consider him the GOAT. And all these years later, and people tried. Kobe tried, rest in peace. And LeBron's trying, but he hit a whole nother level. So that's one of them. Another one, probably like some of the comedians that I looked up to, like George Carlin, fearless, Robin Williams, the king of weird and just out of his mind, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, Eddie Murphy. I mean, they were just brilliant to me. I just like watched in awe, eyes wide, and just glued to whatever they were doing, because they were hitting grand slams, I think, with every time they opened their mouth. That's the way I felt. And so, yep. Wow. What else you got on your page, man? I still have so much.
He did say something else. He did say a lot. Yeah, he said a lot in that video. I definitely recommend everybody watch this video. He said, good. Find the blessing in your curse. What brings purpose to your pain? I thought that was really good.
Yeah, and at first you can, totally. At first you could be like, oh, well, that's spiritual bypassing. But JP knows what spiritual bypassing is. So I'm like, wait for it. And I'm like, you know, JP, be careful. Don't tell people to just bulldoze and be the perpetually positive guy. But I do know a little bit about JP, so I'm wait for it. And then he dives in and he says, this is about your gifts that you were shunned for and that you were made to feel weird about. So your curses, your gifts, become your blessings, which is your weirdness, right? Something along those lines it was.
Right.
And again, just hearing him and watching him be funny but be serious, it was just I just wanted to keep saying thank you to the screen. Like, thank you, dude. I need to hear this. Thank you. After 46 years, I'm going to give myself permission to let the inner comedian come out. Thank you. I'm like, Ray, thank you for suggesting another perfectly timed video. This is a gift that Ray has. He's a very much an incredible creature of synchronicity and alignment. So thank you, Ray.
Speaking of synchronicity, you think I should pull a card right now?
We could do it. Yeah, we don't have to wait till the end. We could do it whenever we want. If you want to
do it now.
Do it now.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a card, and this is going to be, let's say 6-9. I'm going to do a reading for the week.
Okay, so this is a collective card reading. If you're showing up to this
card reading for the week.
So if you're showing up to this broadcast, you're a match to this message, whether you like it or not.
This is my Osho Zen Tarot deck.
Can you bring it closer to the camera?
Hold on.
Can you see that one more time?
I have a little different view right here.
Okay, take your time. So collective card reading. Now, if you watch this video 3 weeks from now, this doesn't mean that this message is not valid for your experience. If you're listening to this a year from now, this card pertains to your experience in one way or another. It's undeniable. It's just the way the cards work, folks. So if you're scared of the card or the message, turn off or mute the video now or look the other way. This also gives me an opportunity to look at my notes. Did you know that the most pervasive disease today is being normal, and 90% of the population suffers from this. Only 10%
Ooh,
do
okay, I got the card. This
Oh,
is
you
the
do?
card
Okay,
of the
we're ready.
week. I'm gonna read it too. I'm gonna read it, but experiencing.
Okay, wait a second. Does that say the number 3 on it? Come on!
It does. Our third.
Stop. You planted that card. Come on. No, I
It's the
know.
universe.
I know. He's also a magician with cards, folks. Have Ray pull a card for you from a regular card playing deck one time and do a reading for
Yeah.
you. That's a whole nother level of awesomeness. But next week, I'll do the card of the week, and we'll just oscillate between us because Ray's got some decks, I have some decks, and we'll have fun once a week. We'll pull a card for you guys. Why not?
All right, you ready? I'm gonna read this.
I'm ready.
An experience is something that can be filed away in a notebook or captured on film and pasted into an album. Experiencing is the feeling of wonder itself, the thrill of communion, the gentle touch of our connectedness with all that surrounds us. The woman in this card is not just touching this tree, she is in communion with it. She's almost one with it. It is an old tree and has seen many hard times. Her touch is gentle, reverent, and the white on the inside of her cape reflects the purity of her heart. She is humble, simple, and that is the right way to approach nature. Nature doesn't bang any drums when it bursts forth into flowers or play any dirges when the trees let go of the leaves and fall. But when we approach her in the right spirit, she has many secrets to share. If you haven't heard nature whispering to you lately, now is a good time to give her the opportunity.
Always a delightful message to be gently reminded that we should commune with nature. Take a walk. Walk slowly, walk mindfully, be open to every plant you pass, every blade of grass that you may step upon or swing your foot lightly, gently by. Take your shoes off and let Mother Earth speak to you through your body and shed yourselves of those layers that sometimes shield us from truly deeply connecting the best you can. I like to tell people, show up as naked as possible to your walks, stripping yourself from your devices and your jewelry and anything that pulls energy or distracts you in one way or another. And
realize that you're one with nature. Realize you're part of nature. You're one with nature. We're not separate from nature. We're part of it all.
Yeah. And I think
we're just as connected to the air, the water, and the sun as trees are. As everything else.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ray, for your card reading of the day. That was quite wonderful and timely as ever. I will be enjoying my walk later today for sure. Be doing a sunset walk.
Nice.
And here in Florida, it's always quite the treat. The cloudistry is the word that I've given to it, is off the charts magnificent. You get to really, really experience some incredible skyscapes, if you will, here in Central Florida. So here's another brilliant quote from the video. This one, this was poetry, and as a poet, I was snapping at the screen, and my partner looked over to me and she said, "What?" And I'm like, "He's getting poetry snaps." And she looks, she's like, "JP?" And I'm like, "You have to see this video. Like this, you're going to appreciate this video." And she is a clinical psychologist, and I was like, you are going to love this. Can you slice through the psychological scar tissue of your programming that has you acting normal so that the miracle of you can actually arise?
That sounds like shadow work.
That's exactly what it is. And he said it in his way, and he put it out there with his poetry, and I was like, this is so inspirational, man. You're being funny, but you're really dripping some fucking delicious droplets of wisdom here, man. And he got a standing ovation too.
Yeah, That was really good. Also, another thing he said too that I like a lot was about amusing yourself.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of
The
I
te-
kind of see that as just not taking it all too serious, not taking yourself too serious, not taking life so serious, and just enjoying it for what it is, and not trying to grasp at life too hard, cling to this, or just have a good time. It's not that serious. We're all gonna die in the end, anyways, right?
yeah, and he followed it up quite non-seriously with his humor, and he was like, it's the one command, it's his favorite commandment, the one that they don't talk about, that Moses forgot or whatever. It's the 11th commandment or
The
some
11th
shit. Yeah,
command.
yeah. Amuse thyself. Yeah. Oh God, man, I'm looking. You hit another one that was asterisked on my page right there. Amuse thyself. It's right there. I feel like it was funny because I took the pad out, and this right before the podcast, I was like, let me watch it one more time. I'll scribble a few things down. I'm hitting pause. I'm rewinding. I'm like, this is too important, man. This is too. I have to make sure I get his words right. And if I don't get his quote exactly right, I'm just going to say this. These are not his words. This is paraphrased. But most of the things I wrote down are what he said word for word, because I just, again, I
Right.
used the word poetry, man. It was good stuff. Good stuff. Do you have other stuff that you wrote down that you want to talk about, or life experiences as it pertains to weirdness, past, presently, or in the future, that you want to work on, or address, or feel like that you can expand upon in your personal practice or just being?
I definitely believe I became more authentic the older I become. I believe my trauma was my being normal and suppressing my weirdness was to be introverted and to be quiet and not talk. So the more that I've worked on myself, the more that I've done self-healing with Reiki, which was another weird thing that a lot of people saw when I got involved in that. And that's been probably my biggest practice I always come back to is doing Reiki, doing especially Reiki on myself, because it's a way of it's a way of loving yourself. It's a way of sending that loving energy to yourself.
It's a beautiful way of
So
loving yourself. Yeah.
yeah. So the more I healed, the more authentic I came, the more my uniqueness started to come out. The more I became more extroverted because I didn't have that fear anymore of that rejection bothering me so much. I was able to step forward. And, another thing he said on there was to embody the yes to your weirdness, not just say yes. You have to embody it. You have to be it.
Be about it.
Anybody could talk the talk, but how many people are going to walk the walk?
Yeah. And that's the
I
most.
think a lot of people. I believe a lot of people think that they're being authentic, but they never go in deep enough.
We need
Because
more.
that fear always works.
We need more weirdness, Ray. We need to celebrate the weirdness in each other more and encourage the weirdness in each other more. Um, and this one may hit home for me more than anything else that he said in this entire 25 plus minutes was, we constipate the expression of our true selves because we are all approval addicts. And
Yep.
that for me, I was like, all right, you got me. That's the big one, JP. Take me now. Like, this is, you finish him. Like that one, I was like, you're so right, man. I'm like, that's my shackles. I resonated so hardcore with this. I was like, man, that's what keeps me from allowing myself to be seen. It keeps me hiding behind these extra layers of weight that I've put on. It keeps me not maybe grabbing that microphone and jumping out on those stages as much as I could, should, and would, if I were being more about it versus talking more about it. So it's truly a courageous act. It's truly, I I think, a very commendable practice of self-love to embrace that weirdness and to be it. And when we see it in others, I think we really fail to elevate those people that we love, because a lot of times, like you said, you were met with, you're going to Hawaii by yourself? What's this fucking voodoo uruguru reiki shit you're into now, Ray? Like, what, blah 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 blah, weirdo versus,
or especially too when I did a silent retreat one time in New York for Jack Cornfield, who's a great teacher, and people were like, you're going to a place where you can't talk? Why would you want to go sit there for 3 days and not be able to talk to anybody? That's the worst thing I could ever imagine.
and
I was like, I got so much out of that retreat, so much out of that. I probably, with the exception of my personal encounters with Ram Dass, minus that, I probably got more out of that retreat than anything else. With just sitting there, because when you're sitting there silent, you just have to sit with your own stuff.
Probably the most growth
marinate.
You've ever done in the shortest period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably some of the best and most growth you've ever done in the shortest period of time.
Yeah.
I know this profundity to be remarkably true, because I was dealing with like a gout flare-up, and at the wrong time, but it was oh so right, because it twisted me down another path. Me and an ex-partner, we were at a firefly retreat. So in the mountains of North Carolina, Asheville area, right? And beautiful. Oh my God. Some of the, another story there about the most pure water I've ever drank in my life. It made me joyous and weep all in the same breath and sip, because I was like, oh my God, this is what water is supposed to feel and taste like, spreading through every cell of my body and just bringing me to life. And at the same time going, well, when we leave here, am I ever going to be able to find this water again? Like, it was bittersweet, and just ripped me apart and built me up all in the same step and breath. But my point is I was injured, and a lot of the classes that you take at Firefly, which is kind of like earth skills stuff, tomahawk throwing, soap making, building of a geodome, whatever. You have to sit on the ground, and getting up and down was exceptionally difficult for me. So when people they're like, all right, we're going to class. Are you coming, John? I'm like, no, I'm just going to stay here. So the first day, like everybody leaves the camps and stuff. So they're all at the classes, and we're in the woods. And so I just sat there and I just listened to the forest. Right. And when everyone came back, they're all like, hey, what class? Everyone starts talking. So camp gets all chattery again stuff. And I come out of my meditation. Like, what did you do? Oh, I went to tomahawk throwing. Oh, I went to you got to go take this class. Sign up for that. This teacher was so amazing. Blah, blah. Oh, are they doing it tomorrow? Yeah, but you have to do the other one today, because then that's level 2. Hey, John, what did you do? Keep bringing me into the fold. Hey, did you go for a walk? What did you do? I'm like, I went, actually, there's a new class called Listening to the Forest. And they're like, whoa, who's teaching that? And I'm like,
the forest.
I am. And they're like, what are you talking about, dude? You're not doing. And I was like, well, while you guys are doing your thing, I made my own class. And they're like, oh, okay. All right. That actually sounds kind of cool. They would go to other classes, come back. Hey, same conversation. What'd you do? And hey, John, what'd you do? I'm like, I went to Listening to the Forest level 2. And they were like, well, how did that? And they're like, okay, weirdo, how did that go? Whatever. And it was funny because it got to the point, I'm leaving a lot out, but it was really kind of cool, because someone had lost in this sea of, they don't call it poison ivy up there, they call it sister oak. So if you call it poison ivy, you're kind of resisting it. But if you call it sister oak, you're welcoming her into your world. And the dance with her is a lot less painful if you're not pushing her away, but bringing her into your experience. So it's covered in sister oak. There's foliage everywhere. This person loses their crystal. It's about this big. And it was like level 4. They come back and they're like, so John, how was level 4 listening to the forest? And I just went like this. I was like, boom. And I held up the crystal, and the person who lost the crystal was like, oh, I mean, like, this thing was lost forever. I mean, there's so much traffic and so much coverage here. And they were like, holy shit. So the forest, as we talked about the card and listening to nature, she'll talk to you, man. And it was like, I didn't look down once, but I happened, Ray, to look down when my foot kicked the crystal underneath this pile of leaves, and there it was, right? So, yes, the gift of be weird, people. Be silent. Be alone. But then come back to your groups because it's important to connect.
Right.
That was a long story. Thank you for your patience, but
that was good. That was good.
Well, actually, the story started making its way around, and they asked me to return and maybe consider teaching the class. So, not the actual organizers of the event, but the friends and the people in the camp and stuff. They're like, dude, you should come and tell them that you want to teach this class, because that's really, and what an easy class to teach. You sit up a bunch of chairs, or you sit on the ground, and we all just sit there and we're quiet and we listen.
I'd sign up for it.
Right?
Maybe we should have a Bodhi Brothers retreat.
That's got to happen. That's good. Well, yeah. Let's take a moment to address that, and also maybe thank our listeners and we have one subscriber now on YouTube. So whoever you are out there, thank you. We haven't promoted it very heavily, but there is one person that has subscribed to YouTube. We're waiting to gather a collection of these podcasts to invite more folks to subscribe. But it's out there, YouTube. All the links will be are below to all the different platforms that house the podcast. So if you're not a YouTuber because of the data drain or whatever, there's Anchor, there's Google Podcasts, there's Spotify, there's Breaker, there's Radio Public. I think there's one more. I think we're on a total of 6 now. They're all going to be listed below with all the links to the things we talked about. We have, I think we're just scratching the, what is it called? Double bicentennial, or how do you say 200 fancy wise? 200th liker on Facebook. I don't know. 200 in Espanol. I think. That could be wrong too. I don't fucking know. I'm just trying to make it fancy. 200 special because it's another 100. So
there you go. Milestone. Instagram
creeping up on number 100. So we are gracing the grounds of the Benjamin, if you will. Just trying to polish it up there. So yeah, we're making some ground. So we just want to thank everyone for tuning in, for spending the time to like it, to help us bring awareness to this show that's, morphing into whatever it morphs into. And like Ray just said.
And if there's somebody that you want us to see, the video you want us to review, let us know. Don't hesitate.
Yep. That's going to be important for us because we want to connect with the audience. We want to bring you the things that you want to listen to and to celebrate the weirdness in you as we continue to release the weirdness in us and honor the weirdness in you. And that could be how would you change the word namaste to me? Maybe we could figure that out. Honor the weirdness in you, the weirdness in me, whatever. Maybe we'll figure it out. But yeah, so back to what you were saying, Ray, about a retreat, about doing stuff like that. We could eventually build to a Bodhi Brothers retreat. That would be exciting, man. And we'll just, we'll pick a spot and have X amount of available attendees, because it depends on the venue, of course, and hopefully sell that shit out. And yeah, that would be exciting, man. I think I have a few places in mind that would be dope. I'm sure you might too. But that's just one of many things that we can do.
We'll do some ayahuasca.
That's something that you keep talking about that terrifies me, but fuck it. I mean, eventually I'm not going to be able to run away from grandmother. She's going to catch up to me like that, like that horror movie. No matter how fast you run, Jason always catches you. And I feel like that's
Right.
going to be ayahuasca for me. Like, with her, her just decrepit fingers just clawing at me like, I've got you now, my pretty. And I'm like, fuck! But at least maybe you'll be there with me, Ray. And you'll hold my hand
I hope
during
so.
the loop-to-loop roller coaster of that nightmare that I'm sure with all of my demons, traumas, shadows that I haven't
we might
yet
need another person just to follow us with just a camera while we both do that.
Look, man, that's some premium material right there, because that's really I'm open to it though. And this experiment and experience of total rawness, vulnerability, and just allowing everything to be seen. Fuck it. Bring it on. Bring the cameras. Oh my gosh. At least like if I feel like I'm dying, I could say goodbye to the people I love and stuff, which I'm sure I will. And that'll be fucking hilarious too. Blah, throwing up all shitting on myself, whatever. Oh my God. Ray, I feel like that moment in Star Wars where the newer ones where Obi-Wan's like, I feel like you're going to be the death of me, Anakin. Don't be the death of me, Ray.
So, a rebirth.
Yes. It's plant medicine. I'll just have to get myself to a space of being totally open to it. I'm not afraid. I'm ready for the peyote. I'm ready for that dance. I've done the psilocybin. I've done the cannabis. I'm ready for some next level shit. I'm not ready. Not ready. Not ready. Half of me's like, yeah, dude, yeah. The other half's like, run, Forrest, run.
I think there's places in Orlando. I saw a line like a couple years ago. I was looking into that. So I know there's probably places right next door to you.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do it here. I kind of want to do it. Although you're right, and there are actually some beautiful communities here and beautiful people that I would feel really good about going to ceremony with. However, I think for my first experience, there's a part of me that really wants it to be like where it comes from. Like I want to do peyote in like the desert. I want to do ayahuasca in the jungle. There's also another part of me that's like, you fucking moron, you want to be stuck in the desert doing tripping balls? And the other part's like, really? Snakes and spiders in the jungle and like some shaman person that you don't know shit from sugar, like who they are and what they're capable of? Yep. The other part's like, no. Yeah. But look, Ray, if you're going to be there and hold my hand, I can do it, man. Not ready. Maybe.
Well, I think that'll be our first Patreon episode, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
People have to pay for that one.
Yeah, folks, if you have ideas about Patreon, we're toying around eventually having a Patreon thing, but we just have to understand what you would want, what would make sense for you to subscribe. Of course, maybe just your patronage and loving the show, whatever. You want to throw a few bucks our way every month, that's awesome. But if you also feel like there's something that would be cool, like retreats, or whether it's like exclusive Zoom sessions or something, whatever creative or weird you feel would be cool as a tiered incentive, let us know. Or maybe we just ultimately decide that there's no tiered incentives and we just put exclusive content on our Patreon. Like you said, Ray, maybe even like we do an extra podcast once a month or something that's just available for the Patreon community. I don't know. We'll see.
Right. Or maybe we try to do some interviews with some people too, some spiritual people we know, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one though, because I feel like if we scored someone cool, like the world would want to see it, and maybe that person would want the world to see it too. So that is a tough one. But maybe someone's like, I really don't want to put myself out there too much. And go, don't worry, we only have 20 Patreons, and we're just going to show it to them. It could work in our favor. Well, I'm looking at my notepad, man, and I feel like I've hit every quote that I felt was really Yeah, my delirious is the awareness. No one. Yeah, I mean, the ones that I didn't read, you hit on. Um, yeah, my notebook's clear, man.
Yeah,
Did you
same
hit?
here.
Yeah, you hit everything too. I feel like we're probably at like that hour mark-ish, so give or take. But
I'm
if
pretty
you,
good. I definitely recommend everybody watch this video though. This is a really good. I think you'll definitely come away with something out of this for everyone.
yeah, it was a game changer for me, man. Thank you again, Ray, for suggesting another winner, for sure. Do we have any idea what we're doing next week, or do we want to just say that we're going to do?
I don't know.
Um,
I don't know. I'm gonna think about it. I was thinking maybe maybe Ramdas, or I was just gonna let it come to me, and
okay,
I was gonna look at something, and I'll throw something your way. If you have something, of course, throw it my way, and
oh,
I'll go into the collective and see what we need to address and what feature.
sure. And maybe someone gives us an idea. Maybe someone throws us
Yeah,
a bone for a video to consider for this forthcoming week. But we'll check in together, Mr. Ray, and we will find out if Tuesday is going to work for us again, folks. We try to keep it consistent every week, but it depends on when I'm working, when Ray's working. We just once a week we are committed to getting together and getting one episode out. Maybe it's in the beginning of the week, the way it has been. Maybe some weeks will be at the end of the week, but we are definitely dedicated to getting content out there once a week and building this library so it becomes binge worthy and it becomes more and more magnetic for you for one reason or another. And we both, before this, we did say we were going to talk about this. I think we did a better job. I don't know. I really feel like we probably did, but we were both struggle with saying and as we're trying to.
I caught myself a couple times today, but a lot
Okay.
better than I was.
Very cool. I don't feel like I did it as much either. Who knows? When I play it back, I'll be like, shit, I joked with Ray, and I was like, I feel like, I was DJ and you were MC, like, and we were just flowing. But these videos are essentially important to us and our growth and our awakening and our awareness, because as we allow ourselves to be a true expression of ourselves and more weird without the just the paranoia of approval from each other or from our audience or whatever, we will, I promise you this, folks, we will flow more and more. It's going to feel like a broadcast from a bunch of professionals that have been doing it for 40 years. Are we there yet? No, but it's exciting that we're working toward getting there. So you guys that are tuning in now are part of the infancy of this journey of us just growing into the men that we're becoming.
This is embracing our weirdness right now, doing this show.
Oh my God, because it's uncomfortable as shit sometimes, man. It really is. And he just really answering the call to JP saying, I would ask you to consider stepping into the uncomfortable again and again. And when, at least for me, it may seem like, when Ray and I met, man, it just flows, it's easy. And the chemistry we have, and I get lots of compliments, like, you're a natural at this whole, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of what we're capable of doing, and our back and forth and listening to each other and really playing a great game of ping pong as far as accentuating each other's conversation and thoughts and feelings and stuff like that. I really don't. I accept the compliments. I appreciate the compliments. But man, let me tell you, I feel like I have a long way to go to where I'm being a great entertainer of sorts, which is exciting because we've only done, this is our third episode, folks. I feel like when we get to number 30, it's going to be a whole nother universe, man. Just because I feel like we're open to that growth, and we know, like, hey, we're not coming to the show going, we're the podcast badasses, man. We are the Bodhi Bros, yo. Step back. We're like, I feel like we're both like, help us, please. Help us grow. Please, sir. give us some morsel
Yes.
of feedback and let us know how to better ourselves. You agree?
I agree 100%. You know?
I don't know, Ray. Well, on that wonderful note, folks, thank you.
Thank you.
10,001 thank yous around the world, wherever you're tuning in. We hope to hear you, see you, feel you next week. Love to all, light, laughter, the good, the bad, the ugly, embrace it
Ram
all.
Ram.
What's that?
I said Ram Ram.
Oh, what does that mean?
Well, Ram is a Hindu god, the ultimate god, Ram. And so a lot of the Hindus who worship Ram, it's sort of a greeting or acknowledgement. So it's Ram Ram.
Oh, great. That's very new to my
It's like,
ears.
it's like saying namaste, pretty much, you know, Ram Ram.
Very new to my ears and now near and dear to my heart. Thank you for that introduction upon this closing. So, hey, without any further ado, John with a J.
Bodhi Ray.
We'll see you next time on The Price Is... I'm just kidding. We are out of here.